Hey guys, we're back with another PLO vlog. Up to this point, we've tracked every single hand we've been dealt, up to hand 426, 2 months and 16 hours played, and up a whopping $329. I know, very impressive volume and stats all around. In my defense, I do still play mostly online, and making videos has consumed a lot more time than I thought it would. So I have newfound respect for the poker vloggers out there, just because of the amount of time and effort it takes to make a good video is insane. I think people like Nime and Owens and Rampage have got to be borderline psychos to grind out the vlog volume that they have over the past several years. As for me, I'll be taking a step back from vlogging, or at least this sort of format, after today's video. I've been summoned to work again as WSOP is coming up in a few days. Today we're going to cover my last session I played at Aria, where I went on a late night graveyard grind session. Night games, especially right around WSOP, is really good action, so let's just jump in and see if we can redeem our stats with this last vlog. Okay, first hand we sit down, we get double suited ace jack 3-3 in the cutoff. Feels like we always end up playing the first hand of the session for some reason. Middle position limps, low jack makes it 40, I call, and it goes 6 ways. That's usually a sign of a pretty loose good game. We flop the nut flush draw and it checks to us. But it's 6 ways, and we don't have any other combo draw to go with our nut flush draw here, so we just take a check and it checks through. Turn is the ace of diamonds, and now the small blind pots 240, almost putting him all in. I believe he has about $20 more behind. And the low jack calls and I call. We're happy to go multi-way with a nut draw here. River brings a queen of hearts, and the small blind checks instead of sticking in his last $20. Low jack also checks. I probably have the best hand, but we close the action and we'll take the showdown. We check and we win, and we scoop up a nice little first pot to start the night session. Next hand, we pick up another double suited ace jack 7-5, and after middle position limps, I make it 40, and then small blind pots to 140. He only has 220 behind, and middle position calls, and I decide to just call instead of re-raise here. Flop is 6-8-5 rainbow, and small blind shoves in the rest of his chips, 220 into 425, and after middle position gets out of the way, I think we have a pretty easy call here. We run it once, turn 10, river 4, we make a straight, and we're off to a great session. A few hands later, we look down at aces. Button limps in here, and we're out of position, but we still bump it up to 40 in the small blind. Big blind, under the gun, and button all come along to see a flop, and we flop the nut Broadway on a pretty safe queen jack 10 rainbow. I bet 110 into 170 here. The big blind just flats, and then under the gun, who's playing about $1,000, pots it to 610. Button folds, and under the gun's obviously committed his stack here, so I see no reason not to just get the rest of our chips in. The big blind gets out of the way, we like to run it once, and under the gun says, "Enjoy the free money."
Here is free money. What?
Thanks, bud. He has king jack 9-2, and since we have ace-ace in our hand, he's pretty much drawing close to dead, unless he can backdoor something. Unfortunately, the turn comes ace of clubs, and the river bricks out with the 2 of spades for the chop. Very unlucky for us. It was a pretty big pot. Not too much happens for a couple orbits until we look down at a nice ace queen jack 10 single suited rundown. Hijack limps, and I make it 50, and low jack and hijack both come along. The hijack is the same player from our previous session who made quads against our top boat. We talk a little about that hand, and he tells me that I'm the only player he seems to be able to beat, and ever since that session, he's been on a downswing. We'll give him the name Henry for this session because, well, I used to have a hamster named Henry when I was young, and he was a pretty cool hamster. There's no follow-up to this story, so don't read too deep into this, guys. We just play a few hands against Henry this session. Let's just get him. The flop comes ace 8-8 rainbow, very good for our range as we're the preflop raiser, and when they both check to us, we throw out a $50 bet and only Henry comes along. Turn brings a jack of spades, which gives us top 2 and nut flush draw. He checks, and we bet again, only 135 into 260. We still have ace-ace range ceiling advantage. He's definitely peeling the flop with ace-king type hands and may peel for this size on turn with ace-king. And if he has an 8, he really shouldn't be raising us, since we pretty much can have top boat and he can't. And even if he has an 8, with our top 2 pair and flush draw, we likely have a lot of outs against it. If we're feeling extremely ambitious, we can bomb the river to blow him off an 8 since our image is very good against him. But the river brings another 8, and that's just a terrible card. When he called our turn bet, I weight him significantly towards a lot of 8x, so I just assume he's made quads here, and I'm ready to dump my hand. He sees the river and leads out 200, but I snap fold because I know he has quads. He knows I know he has quads. What are you going to do? You guys want to see a tell? See this $5 tip? Definitely had quads. A few hands later, we look down at Jack-Jack 6-6. Feeling of getting dealt a 2 pair is like the feeling of getting your fresh laundry, never folding. After a few limps, I make it 50, and once again, 6 people go to the flop. There's no respect here. Flop comes 8-5-2 rainbow, under the gun 1 checks, and low jack shoves 130 all in. Small blind calls, and why not? We put in 130, but under gun 1 has other plans as he shoves for 275 on top of the 130. Small blind calls for less, so we're pot committed and in there. Everyone wants to run it twice, but someone's got to think of the dealer. I'm a dealer, so I know that I never want to run things twice when there's going to be 2 side pots and a main pot, so I ruin everyone's parade and say 1 time. This is clearly the best way to win friends at the table. The board runs out 4 of clubs and 8 of hearts, and no one wants to turn over their hands. I finally turn over my hand, and turns out jacks are good for the side pot, as undergun 1 shows his 3-4-7-7, and small blind just mucks. But the low jack short stack turns over bottom set with turn nut flush draw for backup, and he finds the sextuple up. The whole table's happy for this guy, as now I'm the asshole who only runs it once, and the low jack also seems to be a bit of a newer player to the game. So by law, you always gotta root for this guy as long as you're not in the hand. Very next hand is a limp pot, and I only limped this hand instead of raising because I was super distracted from taking notes and stacking my chips. We flop a monster when the board comes 10-10-3 rainbow, and small blind and I both check to the undergun limper, who's also busy stacking his chips from the last hand. He fires 15 into 30 and small blind folds. I bump it up to 75 and he repots to 255. As I mentioned earlier, he's a bit newer to the game. He's also the same player who got in his King 9 against my Ace-Ace-King several hands ago that we chopped. So although we're about $810 deep on a $30 flop, I'm more than happy to get it in against him in this spot, as I believe his range will contain any 10x based on his style of play. Turn to a spades. River is a jack of clubs, as I only run it once since I'm that asshole that no one likes. And unfortunately, we run into the good old 10-9-3-2 under the gun limp. Losing this pot hurts, but it doesn't hurt as much as what I hear next.
Everybody at this table is rooting for you.
I'm rooting for you too, so.
Ouch. But it's an unspoken rule of poker that you always root for the newer player over a reg. I get must move to the main game, and on hand 481, I pick up a nice looking Jack 8-7-6 double. I open to 40, seats 2, 3, and 4 all come in, and a short stack in seat 7 pots to 255. He's got 340 total. The 2C and 3C are short enough, and I feel like I can get a bunch of dead money out if I repot here. Also, Henry the 4C is pretty deep with me, but I think he'll most likely give me respect and fold. Even if he somehow finds ace-ace to get it in pre with me here, It's whatever. We have a double suited hand that'll have okay equity against most of his get it in range here. So we pot and we're ready to go gamble. Seat 2 is all in for less, about 270. 3 goes away, and seat 4, Henry, looks really annoyed at us and very, very reluctantly folds, while claiming he's about to fold the winner. Board runs out, Jack 10 295 with 3 spades, but no one has spades, and 7-8 is actually good enough to take it down. But both me and the seat 2 have 7-8, so we chop. Fine result by me. Henry looks mortified, as he says he would have won the hand if he played it, but respected my re-raise and folded. Respect gets you nowhere in this game. Hand 486, I make it 40, and the blinds both call. Seat 7 once again, who's short, bumps it up to 180. I repot here with the squeeze again to 630, and the small line folds, and Henry again looks pretty annoyed. Hey man, that's what you get for beating me with quads twice. He comes very close to calling this time, but ultimately does the correct thing and makes a disciplined fold. We flop a flush draw on 8, 9, 10 with 2 clubs, turn a set of kings on a king of spades, and we lose to Jack, Jack, 9, 2 on a queen of hearts river. I guess seat 7 was due for one. Once again, Henry is horrified as he claimed he folded ace-jack for what would have been the winner. See guys, folding in PLO only brings sadness and tears. Hand 494, we got another laundry hand, 6633, but no suits. Henry is the big blind this hand and opens to 40, but seat 7, who's still looking for some action, bumps it up a tiny bit on a short stack once again to 80. The correct thing to do here is absolutely fold. The action is reopened and seat 7 is short stack, and with no suits, our hand is actually quite bad. But I've already made the claim earlier that I never fold these hands, so I don't want to lie to my viewers and I make the call. Button and small blind come along for the party, and Henry, who's out for revenge and looking to finally punish our previous squeezes, does some math, and he re-raises to just 205. Seat 7 has enough of a short stack, I believe around $500, to reopen the action if he shoves again, so this is just terrible news for everyone. Well played, Henry. Now, they say poker is not a team game, but seat 7 is a team player, and decides that instead of shoving out all the dead money in the pot, he's going to keep the game friendly and just call so we can all join along. Henry once again looks petrified at this outcome as me and the next 2 players all flat and we go 5 ways to a flop. Of course we all needle and laugh at him when his squeeze doesn't end up working out. Ha! We completely whiff the flop, but Henry seat 4 also actually folds his hand when the small blind leads pot on ace-2 queen. So I'd say it was worth our $200 investment into this hand just for the hilarity of the situation. The dealer push couldn't come at a more perfect time as we're dealt our 500th hand of the vlog. We squeeze 1 card at a time for the camera, only to reveal disappointment, and although the session was pretty action-packed, we barely eke out a small win. 1 or 2 pots swinging a different way, and we'd be looking at a few $1,000 win or loss. Actually, I know Henry might be watching this, so I appreciate you for making all those respectful folds, or I would have been down heaps. Anyways, it's way past our bedtime, so we gotta head to bed. We're in this game for $2,000 and out for $22.53. It was a great game. I usually don't play Graveyard, but clearly there's a lot of action during the night, so I highly recommend it to anyone out there. Hope you guys enjoyed this session. I also want to thank Donkfish Poker for his shout out on his last video. I know a bunch of my recent subscribers have come from his channel. Wayne's a really chill guy I've been talking with. I plan to meet up with him or even deal cards to him when the WSOP comes around. For those of you who don't know him, check out his channel if you guys are needing some straight up, no BS live PLO vlog content. He pumps them out consistently and actually plays good ranges pre-flop, unlike me. I might put out some different content in the future, like how much poker dealers make, or just a PLO vlog when the session is actually interesting. Or I might put out a video on the softest WSOP event that almost none of you guys are qualified to play. It depends on how it goes, I guess. Once again, thanks you guys for your support and watching my videos.